Okay, first thing we gotta do is clean out the closet, get all the junk out. Alright, now I'm cutting three 12-inch wide by 8-foot long pieces out of a 4x8 sheet of plywood. It's a AC grade I bought from my local hardware store. That means the one side of the plywood has no imperfections in it, and the other side has some knots. Now I'm trimming down two of the pieces I just cut in my table saw to 85 inches. Those are going to be my uprights, and I'm trimming some off of the one that's going to be for the shelving because I don't need that much. And after this I'm going to go in and paint them, so that'll give me a little less I have to paint. Now I'm painting all the pieces that I just cut. Now you can skip this step and paint it all when you get it put up, but it sure is a lot easier to paint it before you build it. Alright, while I wait for that paint to dry, I'm going back out to the table saw to I think I bought a 1x10. You don't need a 1x10, you could probably just buy a 1x6. But I'm cutting all the trim to trim out the edges of the plywood when I get it put in place. You'll see me do that later. And now I'm taking it on the router and routering some of the edges just for the ones that are going to go on the small shelves. A little bit of sanding. I'm running some sandpaper over the wood I just painted. The grain of the wood there comes out a little bit, and I'll put a second coat on that later. Now I'm just going to paint the undersides of the plywood. You can see what I'm talking about now. You can see some of them knots, but you won't see that much when I build the shelf. Now I'm painting some of the trim. I'm only painting 3 sides of the trim because I want to glue that onto the plywood with some brad nails. And after that, while I was waiting for that to dry, I went up and cleaned off some of I bought some 1/2-inch wrought iron to hang the clothes on. I had to clean all the oil off, and there was one sticker on there. It was a pain in the butt. I used the Goo Gone for that sticker. And spray some black spray paint on them. Now I'm cutting the one piece of plywood that I cut for the shelving. All my shelves are 14.5 inches wide by 12 inches deep. Now I'm putting pocket holes on the underside of all the shelves. The first one I put 4 pocket holes in, and then I started putting 3 in each one on each side. If you notice, this is not a Craig jig. I actually like that pocket hole jig a lot better than a Craig jig. Plus it was a lot cheaper. I cut a couple spacers out of some scrap wood that I had laying around in my garage just so I could space out each one of my shelves evenly. If you watch closely, all my spacers that I cut out, I also put an arrow on that so I remember to put that arrow down every time I put that spacer in, so you don't accidentally put your spacer in the wrong way. Also, that's not crooked, that's just my camera. My lens must make it look crooked. I had to remove some of my trim and take my multi-tool and cut some out. And now I'm screwing my shelf into the stud. I already found where my studs were with a stud finder. This board I'm putting in now is going to be for to be able to hook on my top clothes rod, and it's going to also support that top shelf. Now I'm pre-drilling some holes up there so I can connect that top shelf in. You're going to want to pre-drill especially them holes in the center so that plywood don't split. I hung a couple of my biggest coats up there just to make sure I had the spacing correctly. Time to start putting the trim on. I put a little bit of glue on, and then I used my brad nailer to put some brad nails in. Now I'll measure in the other 5 shelves so I can go downstairs and cut the trim for them. And I'm back, nailing them on. Wish I could work this quick all the time. Now since I'm doing some drywall work in the garage, I'm just taking some drywall mud and filling in all the holes. Well, I let it dry for about an hour. Now it's time to sand it all down a little bit, just where I put that drywall mud in. Time to put my boys to work. Now I'm touching up where I put all the drywall mud in to cover all the brad nails up. I grabbed a roller because that paintbrush was just too slow. And here's the finished closet.
I'm going to show you one more thing, just in case you don't have a tool to cut these pocket holes up here to screw the screws in. Just take a piece of wood about this long and just nail it and glue it right up in there. Thanks for watching our video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Go Eagles!